And the lights do indeed go out, so the race gets underway for 90 minutes of action at Croft in the GAZ Shocks 116 trophy. Cars head down towards Clervaux Corner for the first time, and it is Sam Carrington-Yates on the inside that has the lead. Jack Godden in second. There's action a little bit further back, though. That's the 87 car involved, Louis Woodward, having a moment there. But in spite of this big field of cars behind him, I think everyone's made it through.
For a real drive car, he saved that really well as well. He didn't lose a huge amount of time considering. He started fifth. Tow now coming into effect down the straight towards Tower, and Jack Godden was all over the back of the leading car. There's a car that's had an off at the chicane, but yeah, it's side by side for the lead as Jack Godden goes around the outside of Sam Carrington-Yates.
It was the Louis Woodward car that was off at the chicane, so some damage picked up. Yes, it's the right front wheel that looks to be pointing in an odd direction.
Yeah, it does. It's very broken, the front right corner of that. Not quite sure what caused it. I wonder if he hit the curb hard. Anyway, the lead battle is absolutely on. Sam Carrington-Yates sees Tim Crichton follow him through ahead of Jack Godden. So Godden on the outside, that didn't work out. But the top five are right together. Normally in these first stints, we see Carrington-Yates drive off into the distance. So I'm not convinced that's going to happen today. Because firstly, Jack Godden was attacking him. Now it's Tim Crichton's going to give it a go as they come into the complex, and we've got about 5 of them involved with Rob Carr, 6 of them actually. Carvel is in there, as is Anthony Seddon, and then there's a 6th car as well, and Jack Godden is fighting now for second place into the hairpin. That didn't really work out for him, which might mean he's slow on the exit.
There on screen, though, you can see the Louis Woodward car. You can see exactly what the problem is. He's going to try and get it back to the pits, but there'll be some serious work for his team to try and get that back in good order, I would think.
I don't think that tyre would be much good either, would it, afterwards? No. But the leaders heading down towards Clervaux. I think Godden has held on to third. Crichton absolutely flings the car over the curbs. The 6th car in the lead gap battle, by the way, is Tom Sibley. Then there's a small gap to the rest. And the rest come through single file. But here are the leaders through the chicane. The top 3 now trying to break away from Rob Carvel. Now the tow. We will see how effective that is. There's a couple of car lengths between Carrington-Yates and Crichton at the beginning of the straight, but by the end, perhaps a little bit less. But I think Carrington-Yates is holding on for now.
He is. Watching them turn through Tower. There's Carvel in third. We've got 3 similarly livered cars together. Louis Woodward has made it into the pit lane, looking like he's doing a drift demonstration or something around the lap. There'll be a sort of burnt rubber wafting through the commentary box at any moment, I would think. Here are the 3 leaders, though. The Nerd Squad supporting Jack Godden there in the 71 car in third position. He's trying to get back ahead of Tim Crichton. These 3 nose to tail. Crichton a bit wide. Godden can try and get up on the inside as they go through Sunny out, but no, the door closed by Tim Crichton there. So still treble 7, Sam Carrington-Yates leading, 78 Tim Crichton in second, 71 Jack Godden in third, and then not too far behind, it is still Rob Carvel in 4th position, and the team getting to work there.
There's a small dent on the front left corner, but it's surprising how much damage has been done to that car. But perhaps we're here from, well, you can see some tyre marks on the wheel as well. We're here from Chris Stevens, perhaps once the team have had time to assess the damage. The race leaders, though, are completing their 2nd lap with Sam Carrington-Yates leading really what is still one long line of BMWs, isn't he? He's not able to break the pack yet. And there's battles then further back as well across the line, side by side here for something like 10th place. On the outside is Andrew Woodbine.
It's Jeremy Woodgate on the inside line in the number 3 car, so this is for 9th and 10th, and Woodgate holds on to 9th position there. Then in 11th place, I think you've got, that's the Ross Riley car. Yes, it is. And then number 2, James Reddish, is in 12th place. Leaders, I can see, just beginning to spread out a little bit now. But yes, I'll tell you what, the 4th, 5th and 6th place battle is going to cause us to come unstuck at some point, because you've got Rob Carvel, the 5 car of Anthony Seddon, and Tom Sibley, all in that similar grey and orange livery. There they all are. Not too much to choose between them. And you've got Theo Millward in 7th and Lewis Tyndall in 8th position, who had a win at Cadwell Park last year.
146.02 was the first flying lap, and that's the first go at a lap record. And that might get broken as the race goes on, as the fuel load comes down and the cars get lighter, because no refuelling in the 116 trophy, so the cars will be maxed up with petrol. And down into the complex. They come for 3 leaders still together. Carrington, Yates, Crichton and Godden. And there's quite a big gap from 8th to 9th. And someone's had a big moment out of Sunny. It sent one of the corner markers flying. The driver kept it on the road. I think it was possibly 417, David Scottin, but the car shot across the track sideways, but he did save it. They had a lively qualifying session, 116 trophy this morning as well, so we'll see how the 90 minutes goes. And I think the gap between first and second is smaller than what it was a lap ago. Actually, the quickest of the cars on that lap was Jack Godden in third, 1:45.51, which would have qualified him 4th place on the grid this morning. Such is the pace, even with a big tank of fuel. So the lead cars then head out of the chicane. The battle's a bit further back here, which involves car number 2, which was James Reddish, who was in 12th position. But a change for second place in all of that. Jack Godden got ahead of Tim Crichton. Here they are, down in towards Tower. So new second place man is Jack Godden. A
change for 4th as well in the background, I think, by the looks of it. Yep, that's Anthony Seddon up on the inside of Rob Carvel to take 4th place away. Carvel will try to fight back on the exit of the corner.
Got a car heading for the pit lane, which is 57, Toby Partridge. But side by side for second, Crichton gets the place back, doesn't he? Back ahead of Jack Godden then.
And their battling has allowed the leaders to get away a bit, Sam Carrington Yates.
So down to 6th now has gone Caulfield, who looked like he was going to have 4th, didn't it, at one stage in the Anthony Seddon racing car. And the driving duo there is a combined age of 117 years, so not the youngest pairing, but Seddon and Caulfield always quick. It's actually Anthony Seddon isn't out the wheel at the moment, sharing with Alan Caulfield. So he gained a place, but then lost 2, so net loss of 1.
Yeah, Tom Sibley going up to 5th place, therefore, and Lewis Tyndall and Theo Millward's getting right into the thick of it as well for 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th, and 8th places. Then there is that big gap back to 9th, which is still Jeremy Woodgate, I think, and then Andrew Woodbine still rounding out the top 10. The car's making their way down the start and finish straight. We're going to try and pick up the 4th place car, which is Rob Carvel at the moment, with Tom Sibley and Anthony Seddon behind him. You see Millward and Tyndall going through. Tyndall with that Hollywood Racing livery still being worn as a tribute to his late teammate. And it was fitting that he won that race at Cadwell Park in his memory as well. And he's going to have a go here along the back straight is Lewis Tyndall. At the Theo Millward car. Those two are going to get alongside one another, I think, under braking for Tower. Are we going to get a change? It's Tyndall up on the inside, and he's done it. Looks like he's done it. He's gone through to take 7th place.
In previous attempts, then we've seen that place lost again through the S's, and that might be a replication, because Millward on the outside is hanging on the inside. A slide for Tyndall. They're still side by side. They get to Barcroft.
You're absolutely right. He's got it back, hasn't he? Even though he had the wheels hooked over the curb there at the Jim Clark S's.
So that was quite an exciting moment, I suspect. Side by side, flat out through that bend there. Leaders still together. Carrington Yates unable to get away from Crichton and from Godden. Then a gap back to the 4th place battle, headed by Rob Carvel. Then the 7th place battle being headed by Theo Millward, with Lewis Tyndall there behind. And in P8, up towards the hairpin on the 5th lap.
Looks like the 87 team have got that job done. It's taken them for about five or 6 minutes, I would think, to get a new wheel on, to get all of that trucking sorted and everything, to get that car back out in place. We'll see, though, how that works.
Well, yeah, because it looked pretty serious, and they fixed it in 5 minutes. I was super impressive. All the damage wasn't as bad as you kind of would have expected it to have been. Fastest lap by the 3rd place man, Jack Godden, a 1:45.17, which is faster than the qualifying time, which is pretty remarkable feat, because with a full fuel load, you wouldn't expect them to be going quicker than qualifying on just the 5th lap of the race.
Hope Jack doesn't drive that quickly when he's doing his Waitrose deliveries, which he does as his job. He's either doing that or stocking the fruit and veg section in Waitrose in Bedfordshire.
Window wipers on for the race leader, Sam Carrington Yates into the S's. Was that an accident? He sent them off again, so perhaps it was.
It's overcast, but it's sort of quite a high cloud, isn't it? So I'm not sure there's too much rain around.
It's sort of this time when it's happened over the last 2 days. Towards the end of the day, we get a random shower. But still, he is in. Tim Crichton and Jack Godden is chasing. Gordon has been half a second quicker than Carrington Yates at the start of this race. But he has actually lost a position there, of course. He didn't start second, he's dropped to third. Window wipers on again for Carrington Yates as he turns his way through the complex here. Crichton a bit wide there into the hairpin, but get it sorted out. For the first time in this race, we're going to get into lap traffic before too long, which of course will be an element of this race. And lap traffic here, unlike some of the other races, with just the one class or one main series, it could be a little bit more difficult, especially as the race goes on. There'll be lapping cars that probably aren't that much slower than what they are, which of course doesn't make things as easy as it would do perhaps in a class system, for example.
It's going to be the David Lawrence car, I think, that they're going to catch.
Slow car on track. He's car number 50, Liam Bressitz, who is creeping his way back to the pit lane. So a problem there. Meanwhile, the leaders absolutely together, top two down towards Tower.
Yep, absolutely. The marshal there with the yellow flag in his hand ready, just anticipating that he might need it, as they always do. Still those wipers going on the race leader's car. No one else has got them on, so perhaps he's just mistakenly flipped them onto intermittent. So he's still ahead. Sam Carrington Yates from the Tim Crichton car in second and Jack Godden in third. The first two have cleared that back marker. And has Jack Godden done so as well? Well, here's Liam Bressitz coming into the pits in the blue and orange machine.
I like his answer to his future racing plans.
Which is?
Yes.
Okay, it's honest.
Hopefully he's going to have some more racing today, because obviously that's not gone well. Pitting before the window, which opens soon, but not just yet. Top three into the complex, carrying lots of speed. They've lapped that car without problem. You know, I think it's only Carrington Yates with his wipers on, isn't it? So I suspect it was an error that they're on, but was he just trying to trick the commentators?
Yeah, maybe. Maybe I wouldn't put it past him. And Sam, of course, has done some Formula Ford 1600 racing, and also raced in the BMW Compact Cup for a while as well. Watching the fourth place battle just come through. There's Bressitz into the garage, bonnet up. Team checking tyre pressures and under the bonnet as well, so all angles covered.
I suspect the engine is the bigger worry at this point.
I would think so. It's good to have a look inside the garages to see what's going on. Getting a light to see what's going on right at the bowels of the engine bay.
The torch is a top of a mechanic's tool walks, isn't it? Always important. Along with the duct tape, we'll see if we see any of that later on.
Oh, I wouldn't be surprised. Not far away from the pit lane window opening, only 2 minutes away now from the pit lane window opening. I can already see one driver standing in the pit lane with his helmet on, so he's expecting an early change possibly. This is the fight for 7th and 8th, and this is the fight for the lead. Treble 7, Sam Carrington Yates, and 78, Tim Crichton out in front. And certainly Sam Carrington Yates being run close here. There is a bit of rain outside there, our cameramen are reporting, by the way, and that's possibly what caused Sam Carrington Yates just to go a little bit wide there at Sunny and give the chance here to Tim Crichton to get sort of halfway alongside on the run down towards the complex. He doesn't do anything with it. 71, Jack Godden right with them as well. I think he's actually just closed back in on them a little bit compared to where he was a lap or so ago. Brake lights go on as they turn their way through the
open, 15 minutes into the race. I suspect we won't see anybody in just yet. So this battle can continue.
Yeah, I'll say there's
Oh,
one.
here comes Crichton, sorry, and I thought he was going to have a big dive up the inside, but I did better of it, but that was all quite spectacular. Sorry about that.
It was, that's all right. As I say, there's one driver with his helmet on, looking expectant, as if he is about to get in the car. The leaders coming down towards the complex once more. We've got quite a big gap, 7 seconds or so, over the 4th place car, Rob Carvel, and Tom Sibley 5th, Anthony Seddon in 6th position.
Jack Godden going to have a little peek up the inside. Not really going to do the banzai hairpin move that we've seen in the sprint races here, are we? Not until the last section of the race if you're involved in a battle. Not really worth it in these longer races.
Although it's spitting with rain, there are some drivers that are doing their best lap times of the race. Jeremy Woodgate in 10th place. He's just done his personal best. So too is Simon Killam in 25th. Notably as well, Louis Woodward, who was in the pit lane and is 4 laps down. He's the 1:46.84, so he is lapping only about a second off the pace of the leaders.
So another challenge for the lead into Clairvaux on the outside line. Tim Crichton, the only driver of the top 3 without his lights on. Is that helping him at all? As they make their way down towards Tower, but he is the one looking pretty racy at this point. Tim Crichton in the slipstream. Sam Carrington-Yates giving the tow to the 2 chasing cars. They're still in that same order then as they go out of Tower up towards the S's. Despite this battle, they're still going quicker than everybody else. And this is where Crichton had that sneaky look to the inside, trying to get the car turned through Barcroft better than the leader. Let's see if he tries it again as they go through. No, Carrington-Yates knew about it. He defended there. He pulled the car to the right-hand side of the track to defend from Tim Crichton. So where these 3 drivers are really equally, and really the race is going to be won here, isn't it, by the co-drivers. Who is the quickest of the co-drivers in this trio of cars?
Yeah, I suspect you're right. Another point of note at the moment is that the 2 Reddish Motorsport drivers are together. So that's Jeremy Woodgate in 10th and James Reddish in 11th now. And here, in fact, they've swapped order. It's Reddish now ahead. And they've also got the 232 car just behind them. That's Jonathan Baker, who's driving solo. And Woodgate's going to lose a couple of positions here at Sunny. Ross Riley also going through. So Woodgate's lost about 3 or 4 positions in a space of a lap or so there.
Not a good lap, was it? And loads of battles further back, aren't there?
And there's Louis Woodward. Look, he's going pretty well. Oh, and more action, a spinner. That's the 100 car. That's Eddie Gibbs at his favourite circuit, Croft. I'm not sure whether that will downgrade it in his estimation, though. The builder from Bradford, he was the twice BTRDA Rallycross champion.
Actually thought he'd go back to his roots then.
Yeah.
Battles though continue. 22 gains a position, which is Richard Roundel, who's going solo. He's in a battle there with Andrew Partridge. He tries to come back up the inside. What's happening up front? Well, it's as close as it ever was. Well, the speed dirty down there at Tower now after that spinner. So they go through the muck to the top 3. Carrington-Yates, Crichton and Godden still in that order. What about Clairvaux? Turn 1. And this is where Richard Roundel is leader of this group, which is for 21st position. They're about half a lap behind the leaders, but having a great battle. Nearly 20 minutes still into this race. So that was all some good battling. Just up ahead there, 209. That was one of the cars that was excluded in qualifying. William Abraham going first in 209. He's up into 19th position. He's just got ahead of Richard Phillips, and he's lapping quicker than quite a lot of cars ahead of him. Meanwhile, there's Louis Woodward still coming through, and that car that went off at Tower has now gone off at the complex. Eddie Gibbs, so if day at Croft isn't getting any better now, that suggests that it wasn't just a spin up at Tower. There's a bit more going on.
Is he going to dive for the pit lane? I wonder. It doesn't look like he is, no. So he's going to continue into the race. Bit of damage on the front of car 36 there, isn't there, which is Christopher Jackson. And he's just being passed by number 87, which is unlapping itself. Oh, and Ross Riley's gone off the circuit at the complex, and I think he's going to get back on, which is always in the balance when the cars go off down there, because there was a very boggy patch where we lost Chris Smith in the Tyre Park Trophy yesterday.
then trying to come round the outside is 209 William Abraham. One of the drivers coming through from the back. Okay, so Ross Riley was well up, wasn't he? And Jonathan Baker's also not come through, who was just ahead of him. Oh no, that might have been a transponder issue for Baker. No, so he was 11, so it was 12 that Riley was, but he's obviously dropped a long way back.
Into the pits comes number 36, which is Christopher Jackson. Now, I saw some damage on the front of that car. He's driving solo, so this could well be the first of his scheduled stops.
And he can sort of turn it into one, can't he, even if it wasn't scheduled. Carter Lap is 57. Toby Partridge, there's that car in the pit lane. Does look very scheduled, doesn't it?
Yeah, nothing going on the car. The fuel cap's popped open, so someone might as well pop that closed, I suppose.
If anyone notices.
If anyone notices, perhaps they'll listen to the commentary and sort it out.
I mean, they saw a time mark on the bumper where you said you saw a bit of damage, so there's obviously been an instant at some point. As it ever was, the top three are together as they turn their way through the complex for the 12th time in this race.
Yeah, they've been doing this for 21 minutes or so now, these first three. They go on to start another lap, so that's going to be the completion of lap 12, starting lap 13. The GAZ Shocks 116 trophy race here at Croft, organised by the 750 Motor Club. There's the 87 car, I think that was, going through. Here's this fight. So we've got three together for the lead. We've got still three together for fourth position as well. Rob Carvell 59. He goes wide though at Hawthorne. Does this allow Tom Sibley to get through in the 14 car? The two of them are side by side. It looks like Sibley has made it through. So Sibley goes through to fourth. Rob Carvell down to fifth. In fact, he loses to a couple of positions as well because Anthony Seddon, the number 5 car, goes through with momentum being all important. It's in the cars that, relatively speaking, aren't that powerful.
That's right, and Rob Carvell was on an awkward line through the chicane, which lost him not one but 2 places. He had pulled away at one point from that battle, but got recaught and now has been passed and was very wide for whatever reason through Hawthorne and sort of triggered all that off. Lewis Tyndall not far behind, he's bringing Theo Millward with him, so this could be a 5-car battle, but now it's Tom Sibley at the head of it. There is Anthony Seddon, who is 5th. And trying to get back through Rob Carvell, the former Volkswagen racer, there in P6. Sibley a bit wide there, off of Sunny, so is this going to give Seddon a go? Well, he tried the inside, that was covered, so he darted to the racing line, going round the outside, but that didn't really work out for him. And Rob Carvell looks up the inside into the complex and gets very close to the back of Seddon's car, and that certainly has brought Lewis Tyndall into it, so it's a 4-way battle now. The Potter racing car there of Rob Carvell, after he lost a couple of positions at the beginning of the lap, he almost gained one back, couldn't quite make it work though. But to the front of that pack is now Tom Sibley into 4th.
66 minutes or so left to go. Car going past us quite slow. That's that 100 car again. That's been in trouble a little bit. Here are the leaders though, heading down towards Tower Corner once again. Carrington Yates, Crichton, Gordon, still only just over a second separating the 3 of them, which has been the case for the last 24 minutes of this race so far. And they are about 12 seconds ahead of the next group, which is now a group of 4 because Lewis Tyndall has latched himself onto the back of the Sibley Seddon group. Oh, and number 2 has been off. That's James Reddish. Now, is that looking more like a mechanical issue maybe? Into the pits comes number 123 beneath our commentary box, and that's Johnny Webster. That's the car he's showing with George Adsed, so maybe a driver change in the offing here.
There's dust settling at Clairvaux, and that's where that car had been off, I reckon.
Yeah.
So has he been able to rejoin? I think he might have done, so actually just slow rejoining after through the gravel.
Yeah, I think I can just see him heading down towards Tower Corner now actually, out of the commentary box window.
Another car for the pits, by the way, is 77. 77 was started by David Lawrence, and he shares that car with Robert Mallet and Ewan Evans. Meanwhile, the leaders complete lap number 14, and there is a black and white driving standard flag going out to somebody, but starts with a 7, I can see.
Well, that could be one of the 3 leaders, potentially.
Absolutely.
It is 777. Yes, Sam Carrington Yates is getting a warning, so that will be, we would think, for track limits being exceeded. And so he's got to be careful now, because for the next 64 minutes or so, if he does it again, he's going to start picking up time penalties for him and his teammate.
Yeah, does that also mean, therefore, Mark Sullivan needs to be careful for something that his teammate was doing out there?
Yes, that's true. That is true. He'll need to be mindful of that.
So, driver change then going on. David Lawrence out of the VMS racing car.
That's
got quite a big team down there by the looks of it.
40 squad looking outfit by the looks of it.
Okay. Here's the battle of fourth. And Tom Sibley, although he's got into fourth, hasn't got away. 13 seconds behind the leader now. He's got Seddon, Carvel and Tyndall behind. They broke away from Theo Millward. Then there's a big gap from 8th to 9th. So kind of this stage looks like the top 8 are still in contention for a good result. Then there's a big gap to the rest. Into Sonny. Here comes Seddon diving up the inside. Can he get the car stopped? No, not particularly at all. He goes off the road and drops to the back of that group.
Yeah, it was a bold move, but ultimately misjudged. He's lost 3 places effectively, well, certainly 2 places. He didn't gain 1. So Lewis Tyndall will go up to 6th position as a result of that. There's some back marker lappery going on as well, I think, possibly. No, it's not. Beg your pardon, I thought there was a back marker in there as well, but I'm mistaken.
He's trying to get past Carvel as well, isn't he now? Lewis Tyndall, as they turn through the hairpin to complete lap 15 of this race.
I can see 19 Carl Brown is in as well, so he may hand over to David Pickup, or he may stay out there for a little bit longer.
Doesn't look like there's a driver change, not as it's already happened.
No, I think it looks like window's been wound down, just having a bit of a chat, checking on the progress.
One click off, softer touch. Just one.
We'll see what happens.
I think it sounds like he's asking for a change in suspension settings there.
Yeah, possibly so.
Kind of like overhearing the conversation, he wants it a bit softer.
I'm just going till I see you right up.
So
He says, I'll keep going till you wave me in for the second pit stop.
That seems like a sound strategy to me.
Here are the leaders. That's been still Carrington Yates with this driving standards flag overhanging him. Lap time's still good despite those spots of rain, still as quick as they were at the start. And the top 3 are still as close as they were at the start, but now they're 15 seconds ahead of the second group, which is a good gap. Lots of cars here exiting the chicane.
Difference here between the 3 cars is that Carrington Yates and Jack Gordon have both only got 1 co-driver to hand over to, whereas Tim Crichton's got 2 co-drivers, both Harry and Peter Ormrod. So Crichton, I think, the quicker of the 3 drivers there, but he's going to have, you would think, less time in the car than the other 2.
Yeah. But what I'd expect to happen is that Jack Gordon and Sam Carrington Yates will also finish the race. The co-drive will do the middle section, where obviously once Tim Crichton comes in, he won't be in the car again, but he might not be in second place for much longer because Jack Gordon's on the inside line as they head through Clairvaux, and he can't go through, so hanging on is Tim Crichton. I thought he'd lost that place, but there's also battles further back because Lewis Tyndall is trying to come round the outside, so can he make the move work here on Rob Carvel? Again, no change. They stay in the same order. Both challenges there in Clairvaux were unsuccessful.
Coming up to the 30-minute mark in this race, it's an hour to go, and it's Jeremy Woodgate that's just driving into the pit lane below our commentary box. And yes, as we are getting onto a third of the way through, some more cars are coming in. The 40 car is in as well. Now, so that's Sam Watley that's making a stop, I can see.
The reddish motorsport car there in the pit lane.
I'd say it's more of a grey than reddish, but there you go. Never mind. 220 in as well. So that is Andrew Partridge. That's a 3-driver team, so that will be a driver change to either Austin Browser or Neil Fox.
Out of a second into the complex. And it's still Jack Gordon putting pressure on to Tim Crichton, but still unable to find that way through, although it looked like he was going to be successful earlier. but it turns out he wasn't, so he's got to try again.
Let's have a quick rundown on the order at the hour mark. It's treble 7 leading, that's Sam Carrington-Yates. In second place, number 78, Tim Crichton. Third, with the best lap of the race so far, is number 71, Jack Godden. Fourth is number 14, Tom Sibley. Fifth is number 59, Rob Carvell. Sixth is 75, Lewis Tyndall. Seventh is number 5, Anthony Seddon. Eighth is number 80, Theo Millward. Ninth is number 12, Andrew Woodbine. In 10th is 232, Jonathan Baker. 11th is number 93, Guy Povey. In 12th place, it's the number 417 car of David Scotting. 13th, number 1, Richard Lakey. 14th, number 2, James Reddish. 15th, 209, Will Abraham, so he's made good progress from the back of the grid. 16th, 111, Antonio Almeida Souza. 17th, number 88, Ross Riley. 18th, number 44, Richard Phillips. 19th, 22, Richard Roundell. And up to 20th on the back of the grid is number 99, Simon Killam.
And the battle for 5th heads down towards Tower with Rob Carvell under pressure from Lewis Tyndall, who can't make a move, I don't think, there. Tyndall, though, runs... Carvell runs a little wide, but hangs on. And they head up towards the S's on the 18th lap of this race. And then they will turn through the really quick Croft corner. Here they come. And they're still then in that order with no challenges at that Hollywood racing car of Lewis Tyndall. They're right on terms with those two in front. Tyndall started 7th. He's up to 6th now. And he's trying to gain more places in this 4th place battle.
41 into the pits, that's Paul Offord, one of the 4040 racing cars. And also 55, which is Matthew Highcock, who's going solo.
Almost bumping, I think they might be bumping their way through the hairpin there. Carvell and Tyndall. Was that held Tyndall up there on the exit of the corner and going to give Anthony Seddon a chance to make the move into Clairvaux? Well, he's on the outside line, which isn't an ideal place to be. They're absolutely level. He breaks really late, does Anthony Seddon, and does go round the outside into Clairvaux. I think Lewis Tyndall kind of let him have it, but that was a good move nevertheless. To go round the outside at turn 1 is something we've seen on rare occasions this weekend. And good cooperation from Lewis Tyndall, I think, to make sure they both got through the corner successfully. And they can continue their battle with Tom Sibley leading that group.
Oh, now what has gone on at the hairpin while we were watching at Crow? We've got Eddie Gibbs' car, that is, but also James Reddish, number 2, is the car that's stationary there. That's come off the worst. The other one that was involved was the 417 car, which was that of David Scotting. So James Reddish is stationary. Marshall running over to check that he's okay, but I suspect this might bring about a safety car, Josh.
I think the 3rd car in there was Simon Killam.
Actually, it might not bring about a safety car because there's good work for the marshals to get him onto the grass and out of harm's way. Well done, marshals. So I think we're going to avoid a caution period there.
Yeah, lucky there was a bit of gap in the traffic there, wasn't there? Get the car out of the way, and the top 3 come through that yellow flag zone. Guess what? As close as they ever were, but in a different order because Jack Godden is ahead of Tim Crichton now.
Yeah, has been for a lap or two actually, and they had spread right out, but now they've been through that yellow flag zone, it's sort of concertina them up again. We've got the slippery surface flag out because there are bits of debris, broken glass, and sort of bodywork on the circuit, just on the exit of the hairpin, as there is there on the back straight.
Yeah, that's right. So here come the leaders. Oh, in traffic. Is this going to give Jack Godden a chance to grab the lead, heading down towards Tower Bend? He's almost on the grass as they go either side of the bit of debris there. He's right on the bumper of the race leader, Sam Carrington-Yates, who's done a great job to hold off what appears to have been 2 quicker cars in this first stint. Bumping the tail of Carrington-Yates there, I think, from Godden, but they stay in the same order. And it's been an entertaining battle up front, hasn't it, throughout this first, now 20 laps of racing in this first round of the 116 trophy. But Sam Carrington-Yates cannot be passed so far. They stay in that same order. Hopping around there, the Godden car, turning through Sunny. and out of Sunny up towards the complex. Another chance, perhaps, for Jack Godden to challenge here for the lead, but I think he decides the better of it into the complex at any rate. You think another challenge is coming very soon, Ian?
You do. By the way, 57, Toby Partridge into the pits as well for his first stop, another solo driver. But watching this battle for the lead between Sam Carrington-Yates, Jack Godden and Tim Crichton. None of them going into the pit lane just yet. They're all continuing on for at least one more lap. About 16 seconds clear now of the 4-car battle for 4th place. That's Tom Sibley. There's Ross Riley into the pits as well. And I don't know if he's going to do another stint or if Gary Taylor will be taking over in that particular car. But good to see Ross Riley out there, the 38-year-old direct from Solihull. Started racing only a couple of years ago in the car with the Black Beauty livery.
Jack Godden's going to give it another go, heading down towards Tower. Can he challenge? Can he find a way past Carrington-Yates, who's got much more experience in racing than Jack Godden? Godden's in the car that was the GAZ car, wasn't it, a few years ago? The likes of former Formula 1 driver Martin Donnelly drove, I think. That's
right, yeah, it is. Jack, he's done lots of sim racing for the last 10 years, so he's got his experience probably in a different kind of way to Sam Carrington-Yates. Oh, and that's, again, a spin for the 100 car. Well, that car's been involved in 4 incidents now that we've seen so far. That was the car started by Eddie Gibbs. I don't think he's been in yet, so I think it's still Eddie at the wheel. Former rallycross driver.
Looks a bit smoky now.
It does.
So I think Ill is not well.
Possibly not. I think this time he probably will come into the pit lane, I would suspect.
That's the Sentry racing car.
You can see a black and white driving standards flag being hung out for somebody. So another track limits infringement, no doubt. Yes, he's going to head to the pit lane this time. Eddie Gibbs, number 100. Local track list for the Yorkshireman. Let's hope he is able to get his teammate Craig Slattery from Halifax out there for the second part of the race.
Double wave yellows. Well, they would for a moment down towards Tower. That's because we've got a marshal heading out to remove the debris. Again, great work from the marshals here at Croft. It's the second incident recently that they've had to deal with under yellow flags. They've done so successfully. 220 there on the track is the car that was started by Andrew Partridge. He shares with Austin Brazier and Neil Fox. Meanwhile, the leaders have a couple of cars to lap around the outside into Tower, and Carrington-Yates has to turn out the corner because there's a car there. And does that give Jack Godden a chance to challenge here for the lead, heading down towards the S's? Through the woods on either side of the track there, quite a spectacular part of the track. But it is still Carrington-Yates ahead of Jack Godden, but by less than a car length, by less than half a car length as they turn into Sunny.
Much less than that. So Godden here really piling the pressure on Carrington-Yates, and we think these two probably will be on a pretty similar strategy in terms of their drivers. The 417 car is in the pits for the first time, so that's David Scotting, and he may well hand over to Stephen Cunliffe because we are now getting up towards the halfway point in this race. 51 minutes left to go.
Interesting then, in 4th and 5th are solo drivers, aren't they?
Yes.
Carvel and Sibley, so whether they can make some room into the gap. And Jack Godden's bailing out the battle. He's heading for the pits.
He is. Now, we'll be interesting to see here. We'll try and have a look either on screen or out of the window to see whether he is going to hand over. He's going a long way down the pit lane, so we will struggle to see from here, and our camera crew can see him at the same end of the pit lane as we are, so not sure whether we'll be able to tell whether Jack or remains aboard or Christopher gets on board.
Usually the idea would be for the quick driver to start and finish, wouldn't it?
But you do see variations on that as well. You sometimes see them double stinting.
So it's a change for position. Rob Carvel's up to 4th ahead of Tom Sibley. He was 6th not that long ago, wasn't he?
Yeah, he was. That's a battle that's been just rumbling on for 40 minutes now. It's fantastic racing. At some point, someone is going to have to bail out, though, from that, just as Jack Godden did from the lead battle.
That's right. So here's Carvel at the front of him, and now Anthony Seddon's turn, I think, to have a go to get past Tom Sibley.
That 100 car that was smoking that came into the pits should now have Craig Slattery aboard, I think. I think it's his first race. He's not had any circuit racing experience, but he has done track days. Ambition for the season is just to get through the season with a car that still works, but they may not get through the race.
Is that Christopher Godin pushing the car back out?
Yeah, looks like it might be, I think.
So it looks like Jack Godin stays aboard.
So
Assume he's going to let his dad have a go in the car at the end.
I would think so. I would think he'll do the last part of the race.
Someone's off. 77.
It's that back marker, isn't it? That's been lapped a couple of times. David Lawrence started the car, but it's either Robert Mallett or Ryan Evans aboard it now.
Battle for what I guess is now third, isn't it? The battle that was for fourth heads into the complex, headed by Rob Carvel. But nothing can separate those four, but those four have pulled away from Theo Millward, that was quite close earlier. Another car in the pits. There's the duct tape that's been in use.
Yes, yeah, first sighting of the race so far.
That was David Scottin and Stephen Cunniff, 417, that had been in.
The 77 cars into the pits as well. It's the one that we just saw have a moment. That's the second stop for that team. This one may not be one of the scheduled ones, I suggest.
Battle for third. He's just sideways. Rob Carvel past that 417 car of Scottin and Cunniff that comes out the pit lane. That was an entertaining start to the stint for that driver. But survived Rob Carvel going sideways past him. And now Tom Sibley's right in the toe. Louis Woodward's had an off after all his dramas earlier.
It's the complex, isn't it? So, moment there.
Sibley didn't get into that third position. Rob Carvel held on. And then Anthony Seddon and Lewis Tyndall follow on. This is busy. And that's 209, isn't it? That's the car of Will Abraham, who you've been mentioning moving through the order. He's up to 11th now. The former Carter that had his first race just in November last year at the Race of Remembrance. So he'd had a lot of track time there, but this is his first 116 trophy race here at Croft today.
He's lapped in the 146s, so he's lapped faster than certainly the three cars ahead of him on the road. So sort of a top 10 pace, something like that.
And he's sharing with Paul Abraham, his father, who races in the Fun Cup, among other things. So he's obviously much more experienced than his son. Been racing from the age of 15, so we see him into the car later.
Who's this coming into the pits? It's Rob Carvel, I think, from third place. So he's a solo driver, of course. So he can time his pit stops more or less as he pleases.
That's number one, which is it's Richard Lakey, isn't it? A change to the entry. So Richard Lakey in number one there heading through, and the leaders are together, heading into Tower Bend. And it is Carrington Yates ahead of Tim Crichton. So Harry and Peter Ormerod aren't going to get huge stints, are they, in that car?
232 into the pits is Jonathan Baker, driving solo now. His teammate James Hayward not here. And also in is the 209 car, which is Will Abraham, who we're just seeing on screen, and a spin for 41. That's either David Edison or Ryan Margulies.
Back on the track though.
That's the Baker car.
Yeah. So that's Jonathan Baker and James Hayward, isn't it?
Not so much worried about Grow Right, just whether it goes right in the 116 trophy.
Well, I think Baker's driving solo now, isn't he?
Yeah, he is. Yeah.
There's the Abraham team.
100 degrees, okay.
And that's that holder there. So letting Will continue on.
Just past our commentary box window, and there we're on screen as well. The two leaders still out there, Sam Carrington Yates and Tim Crichton. So 45 minutes into this race, and Tim Crichton is still out there. He's got, of course, two teammates to hand over to. That's the Lewis Tyndall car. He's now ahead of... No, he's not. Yes, he is ahead of Anthony Seddon. So he's gone up to fourth, so that's a change. Just negotiating the back marking 77 car as well. So Tyndall up to fourth now. Solo driver, and you know, solo drivers could come into their own potentially with that more consistent pace throughout the race. 27 seconds behind the leader Sam Carrington-Yates after 45 minutes of racing.
After the pit stops, Rob Carvel is now only 12 seconds behind Jack Godden, where it was about 25 seconds.
It was a bit more than that. It's 25 seconds now, but 2 or 3 laps ago it probably wasn't quite as much. It might have been 20 seconds, but he's
Yeah, it's 9 or 10 now, something like that.
gained a little bit of time in the pit stops, possibly. But even though it's only a 60-second pit stop, it's still possible if you can't quite do what you need to do in 60 seconds, or just in-lap or out-laps.
Especially
Quite on spot.
Especially coming into the pits, getting your speed down to the speed limit. If you're Rob Carvel, rather more experienced, and perhaps more aggressive into the pit lane.
Yes, some drivers have seen have come in at quite a pace, but hopefully they have scribbled the speed off before they cross the line to mark the beginning of the pit lane.
Race leaders into the hairpin. Either of them going to bail into the pit lane.
99's in, which is Simon Killam.
And one of them does bail in. Tim Crichton's completed his stint then. It was 46 minutes. So Harry and Peter Omerod, one of them should get a go in a moment.
Yeah, it was probably about as deep into the race as he could really go to give the 2 North Wales drivers from Conwy a good crack of the whip for 20 minutes or so each.
So it'll be interesting to see where they come out. Tom Sibley coming in as well now. Where they come out, well, both of these 2 into the pit lane, where they come out compared to drivers they were battling with earlier. Tom Sibley, another of the solo drivers.
And another one's going in as well. That's the 80 car, so that's Theo Millward, so another of the front runners.
So here is Jack Godden then, heading round. His last lap were 145.8, so he's really pushing on there as he turns his way through Sunny. And the Carvel's done a slow lap. So was that his out lap? Is that why the gap wasn't as big?
Maybe.
Yeah, so perhaps that was a slight, slightly misleading. So Godden turns his way through the complex. Has the Crichton and Omerod car leaving the pits yet?
Not yet, I don't think.
Oh, and there's a huge lock-up in front of Godden. That was distracting, I'd imagine. That was the Fox Browser Partridge car, but Godden gets through. The Omerod car's on its way down to the end of the pit lane, so this is going to be pretty tight, I'd imagine.
I think that Godden's going to have the advantage, I think, into Clairvaux. Yeah, there we are, there he is. He's ahead.
Okay, and then obviously the other one was Carvel versus Sibley, wasn't it? And here comes Carvel, then he's right with the race leader across the line, and Tom Sibley is just going down the pit lane, so Rob Carvel is certainly going to be a decent chunk ahead, and he's trying to defend, isn't he, from Sam Carrington-Yates, trying not to go a lap down, because of course that's so important if a safety car did come out.
Yeah, absolutely right.
Here's Godden then, so he's a few seconds ahead of the Omerod family team that Tim Crichton started the car for. Good to see so many novice crosses out. This championship, this series is getting so many new drivers into racing, isn't it?
It is. No, it's been very successful from that point of view. There's arrive and drive options as well if you're interested in maybe taking part yourself. Do have a look at the 750 Club website and social media, and you'll find information about how to get involved with the 116 trophy. 19 is into the pit lane again, so this is for the second time. This is a 3-driver team, of course, so it could just be the second mandatory stop.
Yeah, I think we saw Cole Brown stay in, didn't we, after the first pit stop, so now it'll be David Pickup's turn to have a go.
And Guy Pove is in number 93 as well, just ahead on circuit of the leader he was, or of, not the leader, sorry, of Jack Godden, who we're seeing on screen now, number 71. Let's head down to the pit lane though and see who Chris Stevens has got to talk to.
I'm here with Tim Crichton from car number 78. You just finished your first stint. How did it go?
It went really well. So yeah, we ran second for most of the stint and very close. So I mean, I think probably less than a couple of tenths between the top cars for 45 minutes. So yeah, it's great fun, and it's hopefully we can just get one over on 777 in the last 45 minutes of the race.
I mean, it's been really close between this top 3. You expecting that to last the whole race?
I think so. I mean, Sam and I raced pretty closely together on a couple of occasions last year, and it's great. You know, it's clean, and it's particularly around here. You know, the circuit's quick, gives you very little opportunity to overtake, so it's a bit like a convoy really for 45 minutes. But it's good. You've got to trust the other drivers.
Of course, you're vastly experienced on the national racing scene. What have you made of the 116 trophy?
Do you know, I've really enjoyed getting back in. I mean, the cars are basic but perfectly set up for what they're trying to do with the series. And you know, having raced both front-wheel drive and rear-wheel drive cars, you know, coming into this, it works as a series. The concept's great. They make a bit of noise, and you know, I think it works really well as a platform for novices coming into the sport. But you know, if you've done a bit of racing and you've raced, you know, it's still enough there to keep you entertained, and the racing's very close.
Oh, good. Well, good luck for the rest of the race.
Thanks, Chris. Good to hear there from Tim Crichton, who was very much in the thick of that three-car battle for the lead for the first 3/4 of an hour or so. And there's one of the other drivers that was Jack Godden, still out there, having made the first of his mandatory pit stops. Yet to see Sam Carrington-Yates come in though, have we, Josh?
That's right. And there he is. Yet to get past Rob Carvel. That's what he's trying to do into the hairpin. They turn out of the hairpin. Does he decide to pull in?
He does.
So finally we see that pit stop for the race leader. And then firstly we have to see if he changes over to Mark Sullivan, and then secondly, will that car still be ahead of Jack Godden?
Again, it's at the far end of the pit lane, that car.
But we can see that on the screens, and there's no sign of a second driver, is there?
No, it looks like fully expecting this to be a routine stop. Check some tyre pressures. I'm sure someone will be on the stopwatch to make sure it's 60 seconds, because the last thing you want to do is make a short stop.
Now a driver appears, but I think that's just for a chat, isn't it? So Mark Sullivan be finishing the car off then today.
Yeah, as will Christopher Godden as well. So we'll have the two slightly less quick drivers up against each other in the closing stint of the race. So it'll be a question of how long they keep, you know, they both take in that final stint as well. I suggest that could be the decisive factor. Which driver blinks first, or which team blinks first. It also depends whether you. I suspect it is all about going for the win, actually, at this stage. But some teams might be wanting to do a more equal share of the driving, or what have you.
Work going on underneath the Carrington-Yates car as Jack Godden comes out the hairpin. So this is not a quick pit stop, is it?
It's not. Richard Lake coming into the pits, by the way.
Jack Godden's certainly going to lead. The Omerod car that's fallen a bit further back might get second, possibly not actually. So I think Carrington-Yates what in reality is second, because of course the sun guys haven't pitted yet. So Carrington-Yates comes out in second, but he's what, 5+ seconds behind Jack Godden?
I think this is, all of the things being equal, I think this could be looking good for Jack and Christopher Godden here, because my memory from last season is that Christopher Godden was probably a little bit quicker than Mark Sullivan, but we'll see if my memory was right on that, and B, whether that has any bearing on this particular race. There's Godden now then, so he is 5th on the timing screens, but effectively the leader. The 3 cars ahead of him, well, the leader's still showing as ahead even though he's now made his stop, but Seddon, Tyndall and Woodbine have all yet to come in. Seddon's going to have to hand over to Alan Caulfield at some point as well. There's Godden then on screen now. 36 minutes of the race left to go here at Croft Circuit. There is that is the Seddon and Caulfield car, I think, isn't it? That's in the pit lane now. So they are doing the driver change. So Alan Caulfield is getting in for the second part of the race in the number 5 car. The driver from Shrewsbury started racing in 1993 in the first instance. Black flag. Who's that for, we wonder? Don't know. We can't see a number.
220.
It's the 220 car. Now I do know why that is. I think that was because of a short pit stop potentially. So that's why the 220 car is going to be called in for a stop-go penalty. I think that's probably what that one is for. It's 4 seconds short, the pit stop. That'll be an 8-second stop and go penalty. But yeah, Alan Caulfield raced Kuma BMWs in the 1990s, a regular top 3 finisher. Came back in the Compact Cup in 2017, and more recently racing in the 116 Trophy, of course.
Damaged rear bumper for one of the cars in the pit lane. Let's see if we can pick a number up on that. The Adam Hewitt sponsored car. Not too sure which one that was. We'll find out in a moment.
35 minutes to go.
Gap between first and second, by the way, 4.7 seconds. Tyndall to Carrington Yates. And that tyre score was a car off the road. That was 41. The David Edison, Ryan Margulies and Paul Offord shared car.
Is he going to get out? Yes, he is going to get out of the bog there. The 77 cars in again for. That's a third stop actually for that team. 41 car, I think eventually will make its way back to the tarmac. It does so now on the exits of Sunny Corner. Lost a lot of time there though. So it's Lewis Tyndall now that leads the way, with I think only then Andrew Woodbine, the only other driver. Oh, he's off again. Oh, this is not the most auspicious lap in the world for the driver of car number 41. Fortunately, we don't know who it is. Paul Offord started the car, so I suspect either David Edison or Ryan Margulies. But yeah, I don't think he'll be wanting to replay the video of this lap too often. So just Tyndall and Woodbine, I think, the only drivers to have made that stop. The 220 car, which is coming in for a stop-go penalty, lights his tyres up as he slams on the brakes at the beginning of the pit lane. So let's hope from his point of view he's not going to pick up another penalty after this 8-second stop-go penalty that he has to serve here. He's parked right up against the penalty board there, so they'll need to move that out of the way for him to continue, which he does now. Pit lane speeding gun in operation there, just to check to make sure no one's contravening the 60 km per hour speed limit inside the pit lane, which is about 38 miles an hour. So the Fox Lux car goes back into the race.
Jack Godden, by the way, is 9 seconds ahead of Sam Carrington Yates, I reckon.
Yeah, and then another 9 seconds behind is the Ormerod that's now at the wheel of the number 78 car.
No, it's about that same gap again, back to Rob Carvel, who is ahead of this battle between Alan Caulfield and Tom Sibley.
41 car, which has been off twice on that lap, has made its way back into the pit lane, which maybe as well. And that's the third stop for them, so that's not scheduled.
One is also in Richard Lakey.
Also a second stop. 2 stops in relatively quick succession for Richard Lakey.
Driving standard flag goes out to 41, but they're in the pits, so they're not going to see it.
No.
But I think we can probably guess why.
I would say so. And marshals, of course, will report in any offs that happen on their posts. The observers will phone those in or radio those into race control, and I think if they start hearing a lot about one particular driver, they will be showing them a driving standards flag. Number 40 into the pit lane now, and that's a second stop for the Ben Wilshire, Sam Watley, Tom Day team. Sam Watley, the start driver in that outfit.
111 heads through Tower. That's Antonio Almeida Souza, who is heading up towards the S's. He's a 31-year-old.
220's back in the pits again locking up on his way into the pit lane. So this time, I think that's just for the second stop, because they do need to do a driver change there. Neil Fox, Austin Browser, Andrew Partridge. 75 is in, so that's the race leader, Lewis Tyndall, in for his first stop of the race, with just over half an hour left to go. He was about 37 seconds clear of Andrew Woodbine, but 46 seconds clear of the first of the stoppers, which is Jack Godden. So he'll lose, obviously, the lead, and he will probably rejoin. It's towards the bottom of the top 10, I would think, judging by the fact that it seems to be about a lap that it takes for a pit stop to be made.
see Antonio Souza go through there, the driver from Cambridgeshire, the engineer who started racing last year.
Black flag for car 123. That's another short pit stop.
Okay. So the Hollywood racing car there we can see in the pits.
Richard Phillips is in, I think, for the first time.
Was 14th. He came into the pits.
Actually, correction, the 123 actually I think was a pit lane speeding infringement rather than a short pit stop.
Okay, so Rob Carvel goes across the line. Has Lewis Tyndall exited the picture?
Not yet. He's just about to head out now into the race.
And the Seddon and Sibley battle also get through, so that's going to drop him down to 8th position. But still yet to pit is Andrew Woodbine, the only of the front runners who hasn't done so.
Just under half an hour to go. Let's quickly run down the order as it stands, although we're in the midst of pit stops. So it is number 75, Lewis Tyndall, that was leading before he made his pit stop. On number 12, Andrew Woodbine in second place. Third, number 71, Jack Godden. Fourth, treble 7, Sam Carrington-Yates. Fifth, number 78, the Ormerods. Sixth, number 59, Rob Carvel. Seventh, number 5, Alan Caulfield. Eighth, number 14, Tom Sibley. Ninth, number 209, which is the Abrahams. And 10th, number 232, Jonathan Baker. But still, we've got the pit stops to play out in the next 15 minutes. Yes, I thought that we might hear about this, but number 220 getting the black flag now for a pit lane speeding infringement, which I think was incurred when he came in to serve his other penalty. And it's now the driver who's going to have to take that penalty is not the driver that committed it, which seems a little unfair. There's the car that was effectively leading. I don't think he ever made it to the top of the time screen. Andrew Woodbine, though, number 12 in, Josh.
And a big lock-up from guess whom? 220.
All of their drivers are capable of it, it seems.
Well, it makes you wonder if there's some kind of braking issue with the car. But that's off at Sunny. I guess they might have flat spotted the tyres when he was looking up into the pit lane earlier.
Possibly, yeah.
But yeah, that's not ideal. So that's the Fox, Browser and Partridge team that are currently in 22nd position. So it is now Jack Godden that leads. He leads by 10 seconds now to Sam Carrington-Yates. And then a further 13 seconds back is the Ormerod and Crichton car. Is Rob Carvel's gone missing? Is he in the pit lane? He hasn't come through at the end of the previous lap, or not on the timing screen. Who he was in, or what would have become 4th position.
Just surveying the circuit to see if I can find Rob Carvel, but I can't see him. He may have come into the pits. There is a car that looks like the right kind of colour there, but I can only see the roof.
1, 2, 3 is certainly in. That was Johnny Webster and George Adsheed. 87 is also in, Louis Woodward.
220's coming in to serve its latest penalty.
And 12, Andrew Woodbine, goes out of the pit lane after his stop.
So he's going to have to make another stop in the next 12 minutes.
The penalty now for 220 after their spin. And the penalty for the speed and infringement. Now Jack Godden is in. The race leader, by about 10 seconds, is into the pits. And this time we should see his father take over. So good stint from Jack Godden, who really got ahead of Sam Carrington-Yates and then started to pull away. Did Godden, the 21-year-old from Bedfordshire.
10.5 seconds ahead of Carrington-Yates and Sullivan. Carrington-Yates still at the wheels, but how much longer is he going to stay out before he hands over to Mark Sullivan, we wonder?
So Christopher Godden to get in next, who's a local government officer. He also, with his son, started racing last year, but he was a marshal for a long time before that, included at the British Grand Prix in the 1990s.
.75 Lewis Tyndall, so this is for his second stop, so he's made both of his stops in very quick succession. Not that he had much choice, really. He was 7th on the timing after he resumed, so I thought it would be towards the bottom end of the top 10. Possibly that was a little bit better than I thought it might be.
Christopher Gordon says he hopes that something more interesting will happen to him than having to swap his overalls with his son that you may remember at Cadwell Park.
Well, yes, and that was all we could talk about really about the Gordons last year, but thankfully they filled in commentator information for us this year, so we're much more well informed.
And they're leading the race. So
It was a broken zip, by the way, that was the problem.
Andrew Woodbine is back in the pit, so he's doing pit stops on back-to-back laps.
Yeah, and I guess if you're a solo driver, one of the things you might do is just wait and gamble for a safety car, but we've not had one yet. Sod's Law, there'll be one now, won't there?
Now you mentioned it, absolutely.
At some point in the next 10 minutes. But yeah, it's been a pretty clean race from that point of view. Good work from the marshals. 1:11 into the pits as well.
As is 75 Lewis Tyndall.
Yeah, we mentioned that.
Yeah, they were
in the game.
There was a bit of work on the front left corner going on. They were tightening the wheels up.
Yeah, so that might be more than 60 seconds actually. Yes, they have changed the wheel on that car, so that's not a routine stop. It will be his second 60-second stop, but he will have lost time there and will drop out of contention.
There's Christopher Gooden back on track. He's just behind a couple of cars that are running side by side, which is Louis Woodward and the Paul and William Abraham cars. So Christopher Gooden is on into the race now. He's got about 25 minutes that he's going to get to run, which is longer than what Mark Sullivan is going to get.
That's right. But he was about 10 seconds ahead when he came in, when Jack came in to hand over to him. So 24 minutes to go, only 9 minutes left of the pit lane window being open though, so all those drivers that have yet to make their second stop, and I think they've all made at least one now, will need to do so quite soon.
The Omerod family had dropped 16 seconds behind Sam Carrington-Yates, but are still 9 seconds ahead of the next best, which is Tom Sibley, who's just ahead of Anthony Seddon and Alan Caulfield. So Sibley battled with Seddon earlier on, now he's battling with Caulfield, both drivers in the same car.
Another car in is the 209. Paul and Will Abraham car for the second time in this race. The black and white driving standards flags out again. It's getting plenty of airing.
55 also in, which is Matthew Hyok. So he makes his way in. So yeah, driving standards flag going out to car number 5. So that is Alan Caulfield.
Yeah.
Driver currently in 4th position. Christopher Godden came out in 5th place, by the way.
Yeah, 1 minute 21 behind the race leader, which is now Sam Carrington-Yates. So we can, in fact, head down to the pit lane now and find out how Chris Stevens has got this time.
I'm here with Jack Godden from car number 71. You just finished your stint in the car. How did it go?
It went pretty well. It's hard to tell exactly what's going on because I can't, have limited knowledge of what's going on when I'm in the car, but it seems all right. We've been up at the front the whole time, so wait now and see what happens.
Especially in the early stages of the race, that leading trio there, so close together.
It was hard to tell what I really wanted to do. Part of me really wanted to lead the race, but I knew we had to build a gap to the guys behind. Now that Dad's in the car, to make it as easy as possible for him, so we'll see.
It's your second season of car racing. How's it going for so far this season?
It's been going pretty well. Dad had 1 day of testing. I had nothing at all, so we had to learn everything on Friday and as much as we could this morning, but it's been all right.
Good. You got your dad, Chris, in the car now. Can he bring it home in a good position?
Let's find out.
All right, good. Best of luck to you both. All right, back to you, Ian.
You'd hope for more confidence, wouldn't you? But nevertheless, his dad has got 21 minutes left to bring it home. All of the cars ahead of him need to make their second stops, apart from Tom Sibley, who has just come in while we're hearing that interview from Chris Stevens. So that'll be one less car for Chris Godden to worry about. And now the leader is in.
So this is going to be then the battle that's going to rage for the last 20 minutes between Chris Godden and between Mark Sullivan, isn't it? So Sam Carrington-Yates, his work is done. Perhaps we might hear from him shortly with Chris once he's out of the car. And then into the car we'll get Mark Sullivan. More cars pitting, 80 and 5.
Yeah, so 80 is Theo Millwall, David Pearce. 5 is Alan Caulfield. Also in has been, which other car did I see coming in? It was 36 Croft, Christopher Jackson.
The car off at the tower, which is Johnny Webster and George Adsheed's number 123 Future Flooring backed car.
Yeah, and it is going to resume, which is good news.
Right, where's Chris Godden got to? He's just coming out of Sunny, and he's turning his way then up towards the complex. So have those 2 extra laps, because he's been overtaken by cars here. Have them extra 2 laps that Sam Carrington Yates was in been enough to get that 10-second gap overcome, so Mark Sullivan can be the leader of the second stop.
I can see that I think Sam Carrington Yates out of the car. The car is being pushed back. It's going to go back out into the race. It's going to be touch and go. I think it's going to be Chris Godden that's going to probably have the advantage though, because he goes past now as the car heads out of the pit lane. So it is just going to be Chris Godden out in front with a car between himself and Mark Sullivan.
Yeah, so that's going to be interesting. Chris Godden's pace is about 4 seconds a lap slower than what his son was doing. He just did a 1:49.9. So can the likes of Tom Sibley bring down a gap? How far Sibley and Black Lot are behind when they come through?
I think Sibley's about 21 seconds behind Godden.
Yeah, Carvel's actually just got ahead, I noticed. So Rob Carvel, so 20 seconds, yeah, so that's the gap to watch. And on that lap, Carvel was 3 seconds a lap faster. So what have we got left? About 10 laps. That's possible. That is possible. But depending, obviously, what Mark Sullivan's pace is. But here is Godden, who got this car hassling him with Richard Phillips, who's obviously laps down, but might be quicker. The
Ormod and Crichton car had taken the lead again, but the Ormods have just come into the pits now, so they've made their stop. So is that now, well, it's the majority of the front runners certainly have now made both of their stops.
That's right. So here is Mark Sullivan in 777, trying to hunt down Chris Godden, the race leader, the former marshal, in his second season of racing himself, racing with his son, which is a great way to do it. So the Ormod car is in, so that should come out in 3rd place, really, shouldn't it, behind these 2?
Yes, you would think so. You can see it there towards the end of the pit lane. Only 3 minutes left before the pit lane window closes, so those that have yet to make their second stop will need to do so very shortly.
So as Godden and Sullivan went out of the complex, Carvel and Sibley came into the complex. This has everything that sort of suggests it might be quite an exciting end to this race.
And the Ormod car's just gone back out into the race as well, but that's going to be quite a way behind the 2 leaders in will be 3rd position, I think, or effectively when all of the pit stops have been made.
Yeah, just ahead of Rob Carvel. Carvel on that lap was 2.8 seconds quicker than Christopher Godden. The gap is now 17 seconds.
Let's head down to the pit lane once again. Here's Chris Stevens.
I'm here with Sam Carrington Yates from car 777. Sam, obviously you were a 3-time winner last season, so you picked up right where you left off so far.
Well, yeah, hopefully. We've got a bit of a job to do here. Mark's just got in the car. We didn't have any radio then. It's not the end of the world, but we didn't have any radio, so we didn't really know what we were doing. So pretty tricky conditions. The car was really difficult then, but it was a lot of fun. I had a good race at the start. Managed to hold out in front. It's difficult.
Yeah, obviously you've led the majority of this race, but you haven't been alone out there. You've had 2 cars quite close to you for most of the time.
Yeah, it was a really good race. Yeah, Chris and I'm not sure who it was behind me actually. I think it was Chris most of the time. It was keeping me on my toes. He's a very quick young lad. Yeah, it was a difficult race, to be fair.
And what do you think Mark can do from here?
Well, Mark's got he's got to chase the leader down here, because I think now we've handed over, he's got to chase Chris Godden down. So we've got a couple of seconds to make up, but we can still win it. But if we can get a podium, that's great as well.
Should we expect to see you guys out in most of the 116 trophy races?
Yeah, absolutely. Next one's Alton Park, which is round next door to my mum and dad's house, so it's sort of home circuit. So we'll definitely be at that one and the rest of the rounds too, hopefully.
All right, well, great job. Good luck for the rest of the race. Thanks. Back to you, Ian.
Thanks, Chris. Yes, so Mark Sullivan taking over from Sam Carrington-Yates. He's 4.21 seconds behind Chris Godden now. There's about 7 seconds between Sullivan and the Ormerods in third position. They're 2 seconds clear of Rob Carvel, who's about 1 second clear of Tom Sibley. So we've got the top 6 cars all within 19 seconds of one another, with 75 minutes of racing having elapsed, and the pit lane window about to close. 57, one of the last cars, Toby Partridge, to make his mandatory stops.
Rob Carvel was 3.5 seconds quicker than the leaders. He's only 13 seconds behind. So actually, I kind of wonder if the lead battle here might end up being Rob Carvel versus Tom Sibley, who are currently 4th and 5th. They've obviously got past these 3 cars in front, but they are lapping a lot quicker. And Mark Sullivan is only 1/10 of a second on the last lap quicker than the leader, Chris Godden. So at this stage, it does look like Rob Carvel or Tom Sibley might be in a leading position, although it won't lead hardly any of the race if that happens, of course.
There are success penalties to be applied after this opening round of the season to future races, which will make it a bit harder for drivers to keep momentum up. Let's hear from Chris Stevens once again in the pit lane.
Here with Harry Ormerod from car number 78. That was a nice middle stint you just managed there.
Yeah, we're just trying our best to keep out of trouble. It's really busy out there, and obviously there's a bit of debris around the place now, so really just trying to keep it clean and keep on the track, really.
Tim's obviously started, he's back in the car now. What's it like having such an experienced racer alongside you?
Oh, it's invaluable to have Tim alongside us. His experience he brings to the team really pushes us all on, whether that be in the paddock to on the track. It's a real benefit to the team.
And obviously you guys with Sam Carrington-Yates in the 777, the 71's been right up there as well. How are you expecting this to pan out?
I really don't know. I think it could go any way today. It's definitely the best race for the series to date. I think the closeness has been unbelievable.
Great, well, good luck for the rest of the race, and hopefully we'll see you at the end of the race. Back to you, Ian.
Yeah, thank you very much. Well, we'll have to wait and see.
But the important thing we heard there is that Peter Ormerod is not driving and Tim Crichton's got back into the car.
Yes.
So he's now, I think, in the box seat because he's ahead of Rob Carvel by a couple of seconds. He's only 7 seconds behind the race leader and was 3.5 seconds quicker on the last lap.
Yes, that does change things a little bit, doesn't it? It
Somewhat.
does change things a little bit. But there's still the chance, though, of Carvel or Sibley still closing that gap as well.
Although at the beginning of the race, Crichton was quicker than Carvel, wasn't he?
He was.
And well, on the last lap, Carvel was slightly by 100th quicker than Crichton. On that lap, Sullivan was 7/10 quicker than Godden as well. Look, they're all in one shot now, heading down towards the complex. The top 4 are all on the same straight. Godden, Sullivan, Crichton and Carvel, and then Sibley as well, actually. So I think 5 cars. And then the 6th place car, not far back either, Anthony Seddon.
Yeah, 6 within 15 seconds. That was 18 seconds a few moments ago. So it is closing down all the time. It's almost like a handicap race, isn't it? Where they're all going to cross the finish line more or less together at the end of the race. Chris Godden still leading by 3.45 seconds. He's not shaken off that number 44 car of Richard Phillips. Is that car 1 lap down on the lead? I think it is. Yes, just the 1 lap down. Number 44.
So on that lap, Sullivan was half a second quicker than the leader, but already with him is Tim Crichton, who was 3 to 4 seconds faster than them, and he's pulling away from Rob Carvel now.
Yep.
So here's 2nd and 3rd into the chicane. How long is it going to take Tim Crichton to get past Mark Sullivan?
Yeah, so in actual fact, we end up with a similar strategy in terms of a long stint for the quick driver, but split into 2 compared to the other two teams, the Goddens and the Sullivan Carrington Yates team.
And up the inside goes Tim Crichton into 2nd, so it took all of that 1 corner for him to get that position.
It did, and probably about another lap for him to get on terms with Chris Godden as well, you'd think.
Yeah, the gap was 3.7 seconds on the last lap. He was actually 3.8 seconds quicker, so he'll probably be there by the end of the lap, maybe.
With 10 minutes to spare. So then the question will be about 2nd and 3rd, won't it? Because Carvel in 4th position is closing on the 2nd and 3rd place cars as well.
Yeah, and Sibley and Seddon are sort of doing similar things.
87 has had a spin again. That's Louis Woodward. That's coming out of the complex. There he is. Seeing that on screen now. So there's the race leader, Jack Godden. He's got the car a lap down behind him, number 44, and then car 3rd in that train is the car that's 2nd in the race. That's Tim Crichton then. And he is now almost with the 2 cars, the back marker and the race leader as they come out of the hairpin. This is to complete lap number 43. Sullivan is about to be caught and passed by 59 Rob Carvell, so I don't think it's going to be a podium for Sullivan and Carrington Yates today as things stand. We've got Crichton yet to get past that 44 car. I thought he might do that down into Clervaux corner, but he's not done it yet, but I think it is only a matter of time.
Mark Sullivan pushing on behind, trying to keep Rob Carvell at bay. He's just done his personal best lap of the race, actually, so he knows that he's in for a good result here and trying to come through. Crichton is now ahead of that 44 car, so now he's got clean view of race leader Chris Godden. There they are, into Tower.
Carvell's pulled away from Tom Sibley as well, it's worth pointing out, so Tom Sibley not necessarily coming as quickly as we thought.
Mark Sullivan defended hard there into Tower to keep Rob Carvell at bay. He's trying to stay on the podium.
Into the last 10 minutes of this race. It is like a sprint race now. Top 6 covered by less than 10 seconds. Absolutely fantastic stuff from the GAZ Shocks 116 trophy. Great opening race of the season. Their first season that they're racing in association with Motorsport News, the weekly motorsport newspaper.
Harry Omroger is certainly right. This is the best 116 trophy race we've seen, isn't it?
Yeah, you'll be able to read about this in Motorsport News very shortly. They'll be putting together a special Motorsport News 100-mile race at Silverstone in July as well.
And up the inside for the lead comes Tim Crichton into the complex. They're absolutely side by side, but I don't think Chris Godden's going to give this up too easily. So he managed to position his car not to be passed into the complex, but Crichton quicker off the corners on the outside line into the hairpin.
Rob Carvell's up to 3rd, by the way, now.
And wide out of the hairpin goes Chris Godden, which is going to bring Tim Crichton alongside him. I think by the time they get to, actually by the time they get across the line, he's ahead, and by the time he gets into Clervaux, he should be fully in front. So Tim Crichton in 78, along with Harry Omrod, is the new race leader with just 8 minutes to go.
Yeah, but the gap continues to close between Rob Carvell and the race leader. Now, obviously, Crichton was a bit delayed there in getting past Chris Godden.
The Sullivan and Carrington Yates car is being penalised for exceeding track limits as well.
Okay, well, we've warned that might be the case. We saw the black and white driving standards flag in the early part of the race, so already Sullivan was down to 5th. It'll drop him down to 6th position, I think, unless he can pull away from Seddon and Alan Caulfield, who's now aboard the car, which, if anything, probably the opposite is likely to happen.
Yeah, Seddon was a couple of seconds quicker on the last lap. Rob Carvell and Tom Sibley then come through.
Sibley's right back with him, is 2.5 seconds behind a lap ago.
Carvell runs a bit wide, trying to get past the back marker.
And Mark Sullivan's trying to get back involved as well, by the looks of it, as they head towards the Jim Clark S's there.
Carvell put himself and the back marker put a back marker between himself and Sibley. That's what I was trying to get out. So therefore he's be able to pull away. Now obviously now he's hunting after Chris Godden.
Yeah, so the gap between Godden and Carvell was 2.95 seconds at the beginning of this lap, which is lap number 45. 7.5 minutes of the race left to go. So who is going to be on the podium here? It's still very much under debate. It looks like Tim Crichton is going to probably win this race now. Mistake there from Godden at the complex, and that allows the Rob Carvell car to close right in on him now. Carvell's got something dangling underneath the front of the car. You can just about see it there from certain angles. So I don't know if that's causing him any problems, but he's right in the toe now of Chris Godden then as they head up and over the line to start another lap. Is he going to be able to make a move on the way down in towards Clervaux corner? I don't think he is. Or yes, he is getting alongside, in fact. Carvell goes through on the inside and he takes P2. He's 4.5 seconds, though, behind Tim Crichton, so I suspect that the victory might be beyond him, and 3rd place is going to be beyond the Goddens as well, because Christopher Godden goes wide there and he loses a hatful of places. Oh, my dear, what a great shame that is for Chris Godden and Jack, who did such a great job in the first part of the race.
And now what's on the road is for 4th position. Mark Sullivan has Anthony Seddon trying to make his way through, because they know a podium could be on the cards with Tom Sibley not that far up the road. But now he's gone off the circuit, so off onto the grass goes the Anthony Seddon Racing BMW. He gets though back on quite quickly, but he's still behind Mark Sullivan, who in the results will be behind, but he'd like to get through to try and move further forwards.
Yeah, Yeah, absolutely. So Alan Caulfield there in the number 5 car, chasing after treble 7, Mark Sullivan. 5 3/4 minutes to go. Fantastic race we've had for the 116 trophy here at Croft Circuit. A great start to the season, their first of 8 races this year for the 116s. Hopefully we'll continue to see such great grids and great racing as well as this season goes on.
Alan Caulfield just turned 59 just a couple of weeks ago. Returned to racing in 2017 in the BMW Compact Cup before moving into the 116 trophy, but did race in more powerful BMWs, M3s in the 1990s.
Right, looks like the number 5 car of Caulfield is getting past Sullivan now. You see Haston as they come up to the line this time. So he's up to 5th on the road now, Alan Caulfield. So it's now number 78 leading, Tim Crichton by 6 seconds from 59, Rob Carvel in 2nd. 3/4 of a second behind him is Tom Sibley in 3rd. Alan Caulfield, number 5, is in 4th place. In 5th place on the road is the treble 7 car of Mark Sullivan, and it's going to be a battle between Sullivan and Godden for 5th and 6th now, I suggest.
And with this penalty for Sullivan, that could become a crucial factor in all of that.
Yeah, the gap between them is just over 5 seconds, about 5.5 seconds at the moment.
So that big group at the beginning of the race we saw, which was battling for 4th, has ended up being the battle for the lead. Or for 2nd place.
For
now,
2nd place, yeah. And the curveball here, he really came with Tim Crichton coming out for that 2nd stint.
Yeah, we weren't expecting that really.
I wonder if that was planned at the start of the race, if it was just, you know, as the race developed, they decided that was how they were going to play it. With the chances of a victory, a sniff of it in the nostrils, they decided to put Tim Crichton back out for a second go.
Of course, the other driver that was involved in that battle early on was Lewis Tyndall, where he's 25 odd seconds behind.
But nevertheless, after 90 minutes of racing, that's pretty good going to have 7 within 26 seconds.
I wonder if Tyndall can catch the Sullivan-Godden battle, because he was a couple of seconds quicker on the last lap. So that's possible, although there's only a couple or so laps to go. Here's Rob Carvel just ahead of Tom Sibley, so this is for 2nd. And off the road goes 44, that's the car that was involved earlier. And Tom Sibley's gone past Rob Carvel at the hairpin though. So off is 44, which is Richard Phillips at the complex and stuck in the mud.
Yeah, he might not get out of that. And the 1-2-3 car is off as well. That's the Johnny Webster George Ansett car. That's had a few moments as well during the course of the race. So Tom Sibley then up to 2nd position. And he is 6.8 seconds behind Tim Crichton. So Crichton continuing to pull away from the battle for 2nd place. There is Crichton now, just turning onto the back straight behind these 2 back markers. But that is Crichton with the green bumper strips. And this, there's Mark Sullivan. Well, he's blown his chances of 5th place with that spin down there at Hawthorne, Clervaux and Hawthorne. So that should mean that Chris Godden takes 5th place then, for certain.
Yeah, and he's 9 seconds, I think, ahead of Lewis Tyndall, who on the last lap was only about a second and a half quicker. And this, what do we have? This, you know, this could be the penultimate lap of the race. We're on now.
We're not far away, are we?
And here is the battle of a 2nd. Rob Carvel, although he lost the place at the hairpin, he's not going to give up. He's going to try and get back ahead of Tom Sibley. He's run wide at Sonny, and Carvel chucks the car in sideways, and he's back alongside Tom Sibley. He goes back through into Sonny out.
Yeah, and the leader is...
Oh, and Sibley waving. Was there a yellow flag there? I saw.
Yes, there's a yellow flag there. So that's going to be sorted out afterwards, I suspect.
Because it was kind of happening as they got to the yellow flag zone, weren't they? So that's a difficult one.
Certainly is. So where is the lead? The leader's coming up to the line now with 1:45 seconds to go. Is the last lap board going to go out to him?
It should do, really.
It doesn't, though. So Tim Crichton goes on for another lap. We'll see if we do get the checker flag then at the end of this lap, or whether we get one more.
So we crossed the line with 1 minute and 42 seconds to go, and they're running the 1:46s, so it should be the last lap.
Yeah, so we should be on the last lap now, I think. Tim Crichton then. How far ahead is he of the rest? About 8 seconds clear of Carvel and Sibley. But yes, with that incident up at Surrey, that might need a bit of sorting out afterwards in the Clerk of the Courses office.
Across the line, Lewis Tyndall is right on the tail of Mark Sullivan for what is 6th on the road, and they're side by side going into turn 1. But meanwhile, we watch Tim Crichton, the race leader. Lewis Tyndall did go through, by the way. So here comes Tim Crichton then with that good stint by Harry Ormerod in the middle. We said it would all come down to those co-drivers of the top 3 in those first stint, and it was Harry Ormerod that was quicker than both Mark Sullivan and Christopher Gordon. And what turned out to be important, though, he was quick enough not to lose too much time to Rob Carvel and to Tom Sibley. Remember that Crichton came out just in front of Carvel, didn't he? So that could have been crucial at that moment.
Well, there's the second and third place cars heading to Sunny once again. 59 Rob Carvel ahead of number 14 Tom Sibley on the road, which must mean that the race leader is just about back into the complex. Yes, here he is. Just looking to see if the checkered flag's being made ready or the last lap. Well, I think it might well be the checkered flag. So there is the race leader, number 78 Tim Crichton, who was shared today with Harry Ormerod. For that middle stint Harry drove. He comes out of the hairpin now and up towards the start and finish line where it is going to be. Yes, the checkered flag goes out. Tim Crichton and Harry Ormerod win the first race of the GAZ Shocks 116 trophy for the 2022 season. Second place goes the way of number 59 Rob Carvel, third to number 14 Tom Sibley, fourth to number 5 Anthony Seddon and Alan Caulfield. Then I think it's going to be Jack and Christopher Gordon. Christopher Gordon at the wheel of number 71 to take 5th place, and the top 6 will be rounded out by the 75 car in the end of Lewis Tyndall.
That was a good race, wasn't it, from the 116 program? We didn't have a safety car,
No.
so that was a pure race all the way through. And yeah, the top 6, the top 7 cars separated by half a minute at the end, and there was plenty happening at the end to keep you interested, really, all the way through.
Yeah, absolutely right. It did pull up nicely. I think if it hadn't been for Tim Crichton doing that last stint in the 78 car, it would have been between Carvel and Sibley for the win, and that incident at Sunny would have been probably even more significant, therefore.
Absolutely right.
Let's have a look at that moment that we just talked about again, if we can, on our replay. This is what was going on, Josh, on the way up to Sunny.
Yeah, so this is a green flag zone at this point until they get to the second part of Sunny. Tom Sibley run wide, and they sort of arrive at the yellow flag zone absolutely side by side, don't they?
Yeah, and ultimately it's the 59 car of Carvel that goes through. Head of 14. There's the yellow flag zone, and it's one of those, is where does the line get drawn across the track to start the yellow flag zone? So I suspect that one might take a little bit of sorting out.
Yeah, you could see that Tom Sibley weren't happy, was he? Because he had his arm out the window immediately. But it kind of looked like it was before the yellow, didn't it?
Yeah, well, we'll have to wait and see.
Absolutely.
Treble 7, Mark Sullivan was 7th, 12th was Andrew Woodbine, 9th, so 8th was Andrew Woodbine, 9th was number 3 Jeremy Woodgate, and 10th was the 209 car. That's a good drive actually from Paul and Will Abraham, Will on one of his early appearances. Let's have a look at the classified results. Well, not yet classified, to be confirmed. Harry Ormerod and Tim Crichton there for taking the win in number 78 by 7.5 seconds from number 59 Rob Carvel in second place. Third was number 14 Tom Sibley. In fourth place, number 5 Anthony Seddon and Alan Caulfield. In fifth place, the 71 car of Christopher and Jack Gordon. Sixth place, number 75 Lewis Tyndall. Mark Sullivan and Sam Carrington-Yates were 7th. 8th to Andrew Woodbine, number 12. 9th Jeremy Woodgate, number 3, rounding out the top 10, the Abraham father and son team. 11th was the 232 car of Jonathan Baker, who drove solo. Richard Lakey finished 12th in number 1, and 13th, 111, Antonio Almeida Souza. The Povies were 14th in number 93, head of the 36-12 Christopher Jackson in 15th position. Dropping away during the course of that race, Theo Millward and David Pearce in 16th place. Riley and Taylor, again a little bit further up in the early stages, they finished 17th. Richard Roundel, the Warrington man, in 18th place. And the number 40 car, shared between 3 drivers, that finished 19th with Matthew Highcock rounding out the top 20. And we go through the rest of this big field. The 123 car, they had a few moments along the way. Webster and Adsed, so too did the 220 car. They were in the pit lane a few more times than they would have liked. And just looking back, some of the cars that didn't make it to the finish, the 100 car of Gibson Slattery only made 18 laps into the end. James Reddish was off in an incident at hairpin, and the first of the retirements was number 50, Liam Brazitt. Some quick final thoughts from you, Josh, after a great weekend's racing. Yeah,
it's been really entertaining, hasn't it, all the way through both days of racing. It's been a reminder of what 750 Motor Club racing is all about, hasn't it? And a great feel in the paddock. Spoke to lots of drivers for for the first time in sort of 6 months. So it's been a really good weekend up north.
It certainly has, and don't forget we'll be back on Easter Monday at Donington Park. Many thanks to all of the marshals and all of the other officials of the 750 Motor Club, and thanks to everyone at Croft Circuit who's helped to make this possible. From Josh and myself, Ian Sayman, it's goodbye. Let's head down to Chris Stevens for the final time this weekend.
I'm here with our race winners, Harry Ormeron, I should say, and Tim Crichton from car number 78. Tim, hey, can we get a quick word? That was a great drive at the end there. You were hunting down the leaders.
Yeah, I think we'd earned it eventually. It was a busy last stint, but it was, we've been working towards this with Harry and me for a couple of years, and it's great. It's nice to be able to reward all of everybody's effort with it. I was going to say, and a big thank you also to all the marshals and all the officials and make it possible. So we couldn't go racing without the Orange Army, and it's much appreciated.
Absolutely seconded. I mean, it's a great dynamic that you and Harry seem to have. He's got the youthful, and you've got the experience.
Yeah, thanks. I had the grey hair and the wisdom. Yeah, thanks. Yeah, you can go off people, you know.
Did I say how amazing you drove today? But no, it's a great dynamic.
It is. Yeah, I mean, Harry's driving's come such a long way in the last couple of years too. It's really satisfying and gratifying to watch that progress too. So yeah, it's great to be involved with.
Well, cracking drive and such a competitive race as well. 10 seconds covering the top 5 in the end there.
Yeah, I mean, just ridiculous, isn't it, really, at the end of 90 minutes? But it's great. And yeah, I mean, the first 45 minutes with Sam and Jack, amazing too. It's pretty impressive 45 minutes separated by 0.2 of a second. So.
Congratulations, fantastic win and very well deserved. Let's go and talk to Rob Carvel if we can find him. We can find Rob anywhere. Yep, Rob, hi. Second place. I mean, that looked more like a sprint race at the end there.
It really was. Absolutely full-on 10-lap sprint race from end to end. Everyone was hanging it out right on the limit. And the cars are great because they just don't deteriorate, so you can just keep pushing and pushing and pushing. But amazing that the guys, the levels of respect between the drivers is fantastic. So that's a happy day. Really pleased with that.
And of course, you were able to keep your pace going, right up to the end. That's what made the difference in the end.
Yeah, we've been quite used to having a strong car at the end of a race and looking after the tyres. And there were mistakes, I'll admit, but they just about got away with it. And Tom kept Tom behind for third. So really pleased with that.
Yeah, you had a mega battle with Tom at the end there.
Yeah, we were just both. Any moment could have been a write-off. It was just absolutely on the ragged edge. It was brilliant.
Well, fantastic stuff. Congratulations, fantastic result for you, and a great drive. And do we have Tom Sibley here as well? Tom, that was a great battle that you had right at the end of the race.
Oh, and the whole race, it was unrelenting, honestly, from literally the first corner right the way to the end. I think even after the pit stops, I was chasing Rob the whole way. Oh, it was unbelievable.
I know it's a 90-minute race. Everyone looks pretty exhausted. How was it inside the car?
Yeah, there's only a few of us that do it by ourselves, so yeah, without a drink system in there, it was absolutely killer. Even on a day like today where it's only like 10 degrees, but no, that was mega fun.
Didn't stop you getting through at the end there?
Tried not to, just had the team on the radio saying that's P2 ahead, just absolutely go for it, and they just got my head down and went for it.
Fantastic race, and it seemed to play out more like a sprint race towards the end there.
Yeah, it felt like it. It kind of was. It was almost like an hour and a quarter endurance into a 15-minute sprint pretty much. But no, it was brilliant fun.
Congratulations, third place, great result for you. And that is all from down here in the pit lane. If you've been watching at home, we wish you a very pleasant evening. If you've been watching at the circuit, then we wish you a very safe drive home. From Ian and Josh and myself, that's all from Croft. Please join us on the 750 Motor Club YouTube channel once again on Easter Monday from Castle Combe.